Hi, this is Sean McGowan, and I'm so excited that my brand new book, The Holistic Guitarist, is out now from String Letter Media, publishers of Acoustic Guitar magazine. The backstory behind this book is really a project that's been many years in the making. Over the years, I asked myself questions such as, how do accomplished guitarists practice? What do they work on? For how long? How do people practice difficult and advanced material and never get injured? Or do they? Do they get injured? Is it possible to sustain a lifelong commitment to playing the guitar while continually striving to get better, discover more music, widen your abilities, and do it without any incident or injury? These are questions that I've been asking myself and working to answer for the better part of the last 30 years. The short answer, by the way, is yes, absolutely yes. And that's what we're going to explore in this book. So here's the backstory. Many years ago, I was a college student trying to find my place and my identity in the world, especially within my school and local communities as a guitar player. As someone who was financially independent and had to work constantly to fund my education, school was a long journey for me. It took me about 10 years in 3 different schools to finally get my undergraduate degree. Through that time, I worked a variety of non-musical jobs such as waiting tables, working in kitchens, coffee shops, as well as teaching guitar, driving all over New England at the time for gigs, long hours on the road, et cetera, et cetera. And so in hindsight, I now see all of these experiences as a gift because the way I see it is I had a nice balance of formal education with street education or bandstand education. And I think there's no one way to do anything. And again, I'm very thankful that I had the opportunities in the real world as well as the halls of academia, so to speak. So eventually I earned my bachelor's degree from the Berklee College of Music in Boston. I was a professional music major. And by the time I started there, I was already 26. So by that time, I'd had years of playing professionally and also teaching professionally, many years. So in addition to the incredible abundance of talent, dedication, hard work of the students and faculty, I also noticed kind of a prevalence of physical injuries. And it took me aback by seeing students as well as faculty members suffering in silence, really, with all of these various afflictions. Also apparent was mental anxiety, performance anxiety, just kind of a general despondency in terms of musical attitude, and unhappiness. And none of these things ever seemed to be addressed in a class or in a studio setting. Over the years, when I had taken guitar lessons, I had several, wonderful teachers, but I never encountered a guitar teacher up to that point that ever talked about how to play the guitar from the standpoint of good posture, playing relaxed, cultivating a relaxed, but intense and dynamic technique, and specifically the prevention of overuse injuries. Conversely, there was a sense and general attitude, even if it was subconscious, that the harder you practiced, the more you got better, the more you improved. No pain, no gain, that whole attitude. And, the harder one practiced, the more you would improve and, you would receive acclaim through recognition from teachers, from fellow students, from gigs, grades, all of those things. So subsequently, I noticed that many students as well as faculty suffered ongoing overuse injuries, tendonitis, carpal tunnel syndrome, as well as hearing issues. And no one ever seemed to talk about it. It was kind of like the elephant in the room. Fortunately for me, while I was at Berklee, I met some people and discovered resources that totally changed my trajectory and approach to playing the guitar and music in general. Richard Ehrman was a musician and a certified Feldenkrais practitioner who was on staff at Berklee throughout the 90s when I went to school there. And he offered free Feldenkrais classes. They were called Awareness Through Movement classes, group classes, open to all students and faculty in the Berklee community. I started attending those out of curiosity, and every class for me was initially a breakthrough and just kind of like a transformative moment in my life as a musician in terms of understanding how to interface my body with movement and playing the guitar. Also at the same time, I used to attend Alexander Technique workshops at the Boston Conservatory right down the street. And I witnessed how this methodology of Alexander Technique in practice really improved the posture as well as the tone and clarity of execution among classical string players. There would be violinists, violists, cellists, all types of musicians, mostly classical musicians, that I would observe in these Alexander techniques. And just a simple tweaking here and there of the posture and attention to dynamics and tone projection was just immediately apparent. Around the same time, I also met and took some classes with a guitar faculty member at Berklee and a Tai Chi practitioner named Joe Rogers. He taught at George Van Epps Guitar Lab and seamlessly integrated principles of meditation, breath work, patience, and qigong into every class. He was able to bring a tangible calmness and peace to the classroom, offering a respite from a fast-paced urban environment always demanding one's attention and energy. He did this just simply by allowing us to take the chance with everything very slowly, and it gave us the opportunity to concentrate solidly on all of the material. So while working through the George Van Epps book, the original Triad book, we do this incredibly slow with a metronome like 30. And we would play the diatonic triads in every key, all 12 keys. The whole exercise would take, quite a long time. And for a lot of people, it was almost frustrating at first. And the time was all over the place. But an interesting thing happened after a few minutes. All of a sudden, there was almost like this end training, not only among the students in the class, but among the players in the guitar. I certainly felt this end train between my instrument and my awareness of time, because after doing something so concentrated, so slowly, it really gave me the necessary opportunity to just really almost develop another dimension of hearing and connect with my instrument on a much deeper level. And at the same time, we were playing through these triads and these exercises. He would have us work through, very intentional breathing exercises. And all of this cultivated into kind of like a long guitar meditation was something that I had never encountered before. All of these experiences had a profound impact on my sense of well-being, as well as my approach to playing the guitar. At that time, there were also a few books published in the 1990s that piqued my interest and shaped my teaching and practicing trajectories. One is You Are Your Instrument by Julie Lyon Lieberman, who I eventually interviewed for a paper that I wrote at Berklee. The Art of Practicing by Madeline Bruiser, and Effortless Mastery by Kenny Werner. As a college student living in a large urban city, Effortless Mastery was an indispensable resource that I consulted daily. Throughout this book, noted jazz pianist and educator Kenny Werner describes his experiences, challenges, and ultimately triumphs as a student, how he practiced, and eventually thriving as a professional musician with refreshing nuance and excruciating detail. I completely related to that book, both as a student and a professional musician. Fortunately, there is now an Effortless Mastery Institute in residence at Berklee College of Music, with strategies of injury prevention, body awareness, and creative fulfillment are now thankfully addressed and explored at higher education programs across the United States and Canada. University of Southern California, for example, has a health and wellness department. I've conducted several workshops across the country, including the Live Well Institute at Berklee, addressing these same issues. Throughout the 1990s, in addition to playing with a lot of different bands and exploring diverse styles of music such as jazz, ska, rock, top 40, metal, West African, reggae, Brazilian, you name it, I also played a lot of solo guitar accompanying modern dancers. It was an incredible experience to work with non-musicians who had a visceral approach to and a keen awareness of music, yet they didn't communicate using conventional music terms. Some of what we did was completely improvised, while other performances were through composed to choreography. What I noticed was a big difference between the lifestyles of dancers and how they prepared for performances with those of typical musicians, at least that I knew at that point. Dancers were acutely aware of maintaining their bodies, in effect their instruments. They did this through conditioning, nutrition, and various bodywork modalities such as yoga, Pilates, and various types of massage. They would typically arrive hours before a performance, sometimes running the entire show as a rehearsal or a warm-up, and they took great care to physically stretch and mentally prepare for the performance. This was in direct contrast to most musicians that I had worked with at that point, including myself. Several years ago, I developed a course at the University of Colorado, Denver, where I have served as a music professor since 2007, called The Holistic Musician. This class is open to all instrumentalists and vocalists, and it surveys the most common idiosyncratic injuries by instrument among practicing and professional musicians, as well as prevention strategies and maintenance techniques. Our class also explores another topic historically not often addressed in music education, that of mental wellness and well-being. As a class, we study various methodologies that have proven successful for musicians, namely Alexander technique, Feldenkrais, yoga, biofeedback, using organized practice journals, hearing protection, etc. Specifically, we focus on different means and methods of preventing injuries and promoting mental stability. The latter can be cultivated and practiced, just like a piece of music. In conceiving this book specifically for guitarists, my ongoing mantra to myself was, write a book that you want to read, write a book that people need. I really believe in this. It's my deep and sincere hope that this book provides a creative spark and inspiration for you and serves as a resource for the prevention and care of injuries, should you have one, and overall providing a reminder of the good fortune that we all have as guitarists and musicians. We've all shared in the privilege and joy of learning an instrument for the benefit of ourselves and others. It's been said that playing the guitar is the most affordable form of therapy. I certainly know that it's impacted my life and the lives of many others in such a positive and beautiful way. What else could we ask for? Thanks again so much for watching this video. I hope you pick up a copy of the book. It's chock full of wonderful preventative strategies and advice, not only to avoid injuries, but also on how to practice in a creative way and really just enjoy the guitar and live your musical life to the fullest.